well, buckle up.
Back in the old time machine.
13th century. Texture, taste.
Very fishy.
Preservatives. Cornish pasties.
Oh my god, I've never even thought of that. The themes of empire, mission, inheritance, and destiny.
Hello and welcome back to What the Food, the podcast that uncovers the origin stories of dishes, food items and drinks from all around the world. We dive headfirst into history to try and figure out why we eat the food we eat. My name is Miles Dickinson, here with Andy Cantor and Dom Gray, and today we're uncovering the origin of Marmite. We're taking the lid off this jar of goopy, mysterious, dark, tangy spread.
Yeah.
It looks a bit like tar.
I think it does look a bit like tar. I think your description of it is very good there, Miles. Very,
Little wry smile. Happy with his craft.
But you either love it or you hate it, really.
Yep.
Yep. That's the slogan. That's the marketing.
Divisive spread. Nothing like it. Apart from Vegemite.
God, you've brought Vegemite into the situation already.
Sorry, yeah. I over-egged that.
Yeah, it's not even the same conversation. Not right down there.
We'll probably cover that later, but one thing I know about Australians is they're very passionate about Vegemite.
But it is shite, though, isn't it?
It's so shit. Very shit.
It's just not Marmite.
I mean, we're not going to take advice from people that live in the world's most dangerous place on earth. They're not exactly people that know what's good for them.
Yeah, no, Marmite don't really hold a strong opinion on it because I've probably eaten it about 4 or 5 times in my life because I just probably would say that I don't rate it if I've only eaten it that few times, but I don't hate it.
I didn't know this
either.
about you.
No, if I was to think of a stereotypical Marmite eater, it'd be you doing it.
Don't say. Why would you say that?
Tall,
what
lanky.
does that even mean?
You know, very proper looking.
Something not right.
Proper looking.
Not right, you know.
Yeah, but proper, but like not right proper. Like,
yeah, let's edit this bit out. This is horrible. Lads. Feel like I'm getting rinsed.
interesting.
Anybody else's thoughts on Marmite while we're here?
I like Marmite, but I've got a weird history with it because I used to hate it until I was about 23. And then...
About 23?
Yeah, about 23 and a half, probably.
Remember the day, 11th of May, 1962.
But it's weird, like, I hated it growing up and then I still hated it after I tried, but I enjoyed the sensation in my mouth, weirdly.
I'm just imagining you at like a dinner table, a mirror plonked in front of you, a tub of Marmite and some bread, and you're coating it on, you're like, looking in the mirror, grow up, Miles, grow up, come on.
Yeah, be a man now, you're 23. Yeah. No, so I put it on some toast with loads of butter, and I kind of still didn't like it, but I was like, I don't know, I enjoyed the tanginess, I enjoyed the weird feeling in my mouth, so then I kind of like forced myself to have it.
Right.
And now I love it.
You weaned yourself on to Marmite.
Yeah, by having loads of butter, like the thinnest amount of Marmite ever, loads of butter. And then, slowly the butter went down, the Marmite went up. So far as to, I was working freelance for a production company
Crack
once.
addict.
Literally.
Cutting it a bit more pure.
Yeah, it went so far that I was working when I was freelance for a production company, and in the morning I was making breakfast in the kitchen. They had like stuff you could help yourself to. I was making Marmite on toast, and one of the producers came in and went, "Fucking hell, Miles, it's not Nutella." And I was like, I got absolutely ripped in front of everyone in the office. I was like, oh right, oh okay, sorry.
How did you not get the nickname Marmite Milo at that point?
Yeah.
How did that not stick?
That's good. That is good. Marmite Milo.
Milo.
Yeah. So
Milo.
You either love him or you hate him. I love him though. I love him.
Right. So nowadays I love it.
Yeah, they do say that your taste buds grow up, don't they? They mature. So yeah.
Sure.
Not surprised that you
Still waiting for yours, Dom.
Yeah.
So
any day now.
I quite like it. Yeah, I'm the same as you. No, actually, I'm not the same as you. I think I always liked it. I think I was always quite mature. I was quite a mature youth.
Don't know about that.
But I don't really have it regularly. Like, it's not in my cupboard now downstairs. But yeah, I cook with it sometimes. Yeah. Or a few times I've cooked with it. Put a little spoonful into like a little chili, something like that.
Yeah, a little bolognese. If you in a little tangy one.
Yeah.
The kick.
I mean, just a spoonful. I'm not putting like a whole tub in.
No.
Yeah, it's not Nutella, is it? I've had him there.
You have.
Yeah, I mean, let's not mince words. I think Marmite is kind of as British as rain on a bank holiday. It's been called everything from black gold to devil's goo, and just a dab on the tongue can send you into a flavour frenzy. It is that thing though, isn't it? Like if you just have a little bit, you know you've had it. It's not sneaking into your mouth, is it?
Nah, you know it's that.
About.
Well, because it kind of does something to your taste buds, doesn't it? It's not just like a flavour. It's kind of like a sensation as well. It kind of, you get that kind of like instant
jaw pain.
Yeah, it's that nice. That's like from the same that you get with like really sour sweets sometimes. You get that kind of like weird spasms that happen on the side of your face.
Ooh.
That then kind of mellows over time and becomes creamy as your saliva kind of penetrates and dilutes it within your mouth, and it warms up, and then eventually it's just like a creamy meatiness. Marmite Milo.
Yeah.
It comes again.
You're like an artist with a paintbrush, but your words are the paint.
Yeah.
I just paint with my tongue with Marmite.
Oh, fucking hell. It's a horrific.
Marmite impressionist by Milo. You know the worst bit about that is imagine how bad it'd smell like the day after.
His gallery just fucking pongs.
Yeah. Oh, is that cubism? No, it's Marmite.
Talking as you're painting. You're not even taking a minute to look him in the eye. You're just talking as you're going.
Live painting. Marmite Milo masterclass.
Yeah, so you have a wow.
Your description then was pretty mental. You had penetrate, you had creamy, and you had meaty, and you had mouth, all in the same sentence.
You don't want those four words in one sentence.
I've not seen you as passionate about a food since Spam, to be completely honest.
Yeah. So whether you're a Marmite devotee, like our friend Miles here, or a detractor, stick with us as we spread thick into the history, mystery, and yeasty mastery of this iconic jar.
Wow.
You boys ready to open the lid on this?
Yeah, man.
Let's
crack it open.
Viscous.
Absolutely.
I think I might have like some childhood trauma with Marmite, actually. I think that's why I don't like it.
The past few episodes, I feel like we've done a bit of a therapy session. So yeah, come on.
No, I think I grew up near the Marmite factory. I think it's on like Burton-upon-Trent, somewhere around there. And I remember driving by and the smell of it. And I just, it's a strong smell for anybody, but for a young child's nostrils, I'm not surprised I don't like it, It's all coming back to me now. I've not thought about that for years.
Listen.
Whoa.
Wow.
God.
So the factory... So the factory smelled exactly like the fumes that were coming out of the factory. It smelled exactly like...
I'd probably even say a little bit more aggressive than the product itself, because it's like en masse. It's like they're doing it by the ton, I'd imagine.
So first up, it's taste, right? It's not just salty. It's the sultan of savoury. The Raj of richness. There's a super high level of depth here. It's like a really potent hit of umami. And if you put it on to anything, it will be the dominant flavour, pretty much, of whatever you're putting it on.
Definitely. Feels very concentrated, doesn't it?
Super concentrated.
Its thickness.
Tiny stab.
Yeah, exactly.
Dominates it.
It's just like a really concentrated thing.
So going back to what you said about layering it on thick, I can see what that guy reacted like. Fair play.
Yeah, no, looking back, I was an absolute monster in that moment. But yeah, you just didn't have to say it out loud, in front of the office.
Probably shouldn't get like a yeast infection or something. It's a lot of yeast you're eating.
Yeah, I think I like... Can't come into work the next day.
Got yeast infection from eating too much Marmite. A Marmite-induced yeast infection.
Yeah, I spread it on just way too thick. It was at a time when I was kind of coming up to my enjoyment of it and went a bit too far. And then now, now it's been pulled back.
It
was just that adjustment period where, and also a bit of the fact that it was like free breakfast. I was living in London, didn't have much money at the time. So, I was just piling on free shit at that time,
Right. So were you stealing jars as well? What was happening?
No, not stealing jars.
Doesn't want that on the record.
No, definitely not stealing them. But I did have, I'd have one at 3 PM as well. Like a little...
What? You double
late afternoon. Sometimes, yeah. I was fat. Really fat.
Oh, mate, no. Come on.
Life is for living. That kind of summarizes the taste quite well, right? Salty, umami.
Yeah.
I can't really put my finger on like a kind of similar flavor because there just isn't.
No, it's unique, isn't it? For sure.
Super unique.
Texture-wise, it's thick. Yeah, we've established that. Very viscous, super sticky, almost like molasses. I don't know if you guys have ever made bagels, but you use like barley malt syrup type stuff.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that stuff.
That's kind of similar. That's super sticky. Makes it kind of good for spreading, I think.
Yeah.
It's a good spread.
A little bit goes a long way, doesn't it?
Grip.
Does. Too much warfare on your palate, and too little, it's perfect. I think you can always add more. You can never take it off.
Yeah.
You're not scraping Marmite off.
No. Once it's there to stay.
Yeah, exactly. Smell wise, very yeasty.
I was going to say,
how would
yeasty.
you're probably the best person to describe the smell of Marmite, considering you
yeasty.
lived in the factory.
Grew up in the factory.
I didn't live in the factory, lads.
That's why you're weird.
Yeah.
No, Miles.
That's why you've got an affinity for big industrial machinery.
It's a tangy smell. I think it's quite pungent. Like, you get a reaction.
Yeah.
If you smell it, like, ooh.
Get your nose in deep.
Yeah, but very yeasty, very tangy.
Yep.
Not for me.
I think it's right. Like, you either find it kind of comforting, like a warm, kind of inviting smell, or you find the smell like an alarm bell, as you do, Dom, where it just takes you back to some childhood trauma, which you've buried deep in your soul, which we're now resurfacing live on the podcast.
Yeah.
But anyway,
That we're resurfacing
We're all there
right
to
now
share.
live on the podcast.
Yeah, we're all there to share.
we're all
aren't we,
friends there.
Our life is your life, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I've got the official ingredients list.
I've shat myself on the podcast before. You just don't know about it.
I did think you had a look in your eyes a few episodes ago.
Yeah, that was it.
Well, it's up to the listeners to guess. Email in and write which
Find the
episode
moment.
you think Miles shot himself on. All right, so I'm going to read out the official ingredients of Marmite, just in case you boys were not aware. So yeast extract is the primary ingredient. Yeast extract that contains barley, wheat, oats, and rye. Those are kind of the core elements within it. You've got salt, vegetable juice concentrate, vitamins including thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, niacin,
and these blisters.
Sounds like you spit in some bars or something like that.
Like a fucking German grime act.
Niacin, riacin,
rheumatism.
Oh, wow.
Can't really say it in a normal voice.
No.
Thiamine, riboflavin, niacin. Even then, niacin.
Niacin.
Vitamin B12.
Vitamin.
Vitamin B12 and the folic acid. And then natural flavouring, which contains celery. That's it, man. That's Marmite.
This is the weirdest segment.
But that is a wacky list of ingredients for something you spread on your toasts in the morning. There's a lot to unpack there.
It's a lot, isn't it?
Even like just the first and most prominent ingredient, the yeast. Like yeast in itself is just a crazy thing.
It's like a living thing, isn't it? To start with.
It's like a living thing. It's part of the fungi family, I think. Yeah.
Organism. It's a living organism.
Yeah, living single-celled microorganism. Mad. What?
I don't know single cell. That might be crazy, but the rest, yeah. It's.
Come what the science.
What? It's
Yeah.
single-celled. I've heard it's single-celled.
I don't think it is single celled, lad, but if you're a scientist and you're listening and you know,
I'm not a scientist,
Let us
and
know.
I know when I'm telling you.
you sound more and more like your dad every day.
But yeah, I mean, even yeast is crazy. To make a spread out of concentrated yeast extract. That's before you've put in that other whole host of ingredients that you just read out. Mad.
Yeah.
Aren't they, isn't the yeast just like leftovers from something else, though, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, exactly right.
brewing or whatever, something like that.
Spot on. Yeah, let's. So now that we've got like the sensory kind of experience and the ingredients down, let's get into it, because you can't really kind of understand Marmite and kind of its flavor profiles and its reason for being until you understand the origins, really. So let's go back to the cobbled streets and steam-filled skies of Burton-on-Trent at the
Yes.
turn of the 20th century.
Okay.
So Burton, you guys might know, was a brewing bastion.
Good water.
Great water.
Is that what it is? Have they got some
It's
good
on
water
the
flowing
River Trent, isn't it? That's what it's called. Burton-upon-Trent on the river.
Very good water.
okay.
Very good vitamins, minerals.
I think it's like proper, good like pH and stuff, you know?
So these brewing companies are using this water in their factories.
Yeah.
I think I know about this
Touched upon
water.
this.
recently because of from your stag do, Milo. You know when we were doing the beer tasting?
He was talking about that, wasn't he?
And he mentioned, he was like, oh, we were brewing this certain recipe. Oh, it's from Burton. They make it better down there because they have the nicer water.
Yeah,
it's all coming full circle.
Yeah, he did say that.
I thought we'd spoken about it on another episode of the pod, but you're right. It was the guy giving us the brewery tour, wasn't it? Ludlow Brewery. Wow. I do find that, just before we carry on, like that intersection of like geography and, well, I guess geography and history, but like there's a reason why that town was well known for all these brewery businesses. It's like because of the water. And it's like, it's interesting to figure out like the connection between where stuff's made and geographically why it's that location. Yeah, it's mad. It's cool.
Exactly. Just use what they had. And we're like, yes, this place is great for this. Let's do it. Smash it here. So yeah, Brewing Bastion. The air was thick with kind of the aroma of malt and hops. And it was a paradise.
Dom when he's a child.
Is that why you moved to New Zealand, actually? Like the cleanest air you could possibly get.
Mummy, Daddy, get me to the clean air.
I've done some research and I found a top 10 list on Reddit for cleanest airs. Get me to New Zealand, Mummy.
No.
I don't know why he's so posh.
Number one, boys, what the fuck? At no point have I ever sounded that posh. Secondly, your timeline's way off because I moved to Lincoln before that. Lincolnshire.
No, okay. You're a southerner. That's south, isn't it?
No, whoa, it's not. That's Midlands. Thank you very much.
Where is it from here, where we live now? South. You're a southerner.
You're a southerner.
Lads.
I'm
not even getting I'm not even starting this one. Anyway.
It was a paradise for any self-respecting brewer. And it was the birthplace of Marmite. So enter stage left, a character central in our story. A German scientist, Justus von Liebig.
Well, it's a strong name, that.
Might be Liebig, actually.
Liebig.
But great name. Justus von Liebig. Great name.
Wow. Justus von Liebig.
And it was Liebig who discovered that the yeast used to brew beer could be repurposed, concentrated and eaten.
Wow, okay. It's a byproduct.
That's a big thing to figure out because I bet there's a lot of yeast knocking around Burton.
Exactly.
A lot of yeast.
Our man Justus was all about efficiency. Why toss the yeast when it's packed with goodness? In a flash of brilliance, he concocted a spread from this brewery byproduct rich in B vitamins and, of course, that distinctive taste. But the kind of true leap from kind of theory to jar took place under the stewardship of one Mr. Frederick Whistler, who was the Marmite Food Extract Company's first manager. So this Justus guy was like the person, a scientist, essentially. He was the person to think of the product based on kind of, this byproduct, it's got good vitamins in it. Can we concentrate it and kind of turn it into something that was actually edible?
How long ago was this? Sorry?
So it's the turn of the 20th century. So kind of like early 1900s, late 1800s.
I wonder how they test to know that it's good in vitamin B and things like that. Because I always thought that's like kind of like a scientisty, newy thing, Like, I'm not saying they weren't scientists back then, but like,
yeah,
I don't know.
A big kind of reason why Marmite succeeded was because it was invented around the time that vitamins were actually discovered.
Oh wow! So they were like the hot topic.
Exactly, yeah, exactly right. But we'll circle back around to that in a moment. That kind of discovery really catapulted Marmite into the public eye and made it a popular product. At this point, I think Liebig has like discovered that you can make it, and then Whistler's come along and been like, we could make some fucking cash out of this because they're already throwing this away.
Yeah, makes total sense. If we could turn it into a product to sell and make money from something that we were previously throwing in the bin, then more profit. Great.
Exactly. So in 1902, the Marmite Company is incorporated, and the Chemist and Druggist, which is was a publication around that time, it published kind of like news of like new and upcoming medicines and shit like that. They indicated that the Marmite Food Extract Company had adopted an agreement to
acquire any invention or process relating to the production of food extracts from yeast.
Pretty clear. Wow. Just what it says on the tin or the jar.
There's a lot of bases. Any products.
So a little bit about Frederick. So Frederick Whistler, born in Morat, Switzerland. So already we've got a German and a Swissman working on a super quintessentially British good. So Brexit, was it a good idea? So he was born in 1855 and he emigrated to England in just before 1880, where he married a lady called Alice Maud Mary McLog. Terrible name.
Wow.
In Hackney. So because it's such a quintessentially British item, there's a lot of documentation around the people that were involved in its history. So like to find all this shit out, I was able to dig into like old school London like archives and censuses and like marriage certificates and shit like that. Someone's put like a full kind of archive together of this guy's life.
That's cool.
And you can see kind of points in history where he's got married. So he's got a marriage license and it kind of states his occupation and it's like his emigration kind of paperwork. And then it's like
that's quite cool.
Where he moved house and kind of his like deeds and things like that.
Yeah.
So you can see kind of the journey through paperwork essentially of this guy's life.
That's really cool.
But just to give you a idea for what this bloke was like, imagine a man with a big old walrus mustache. And that's what he was sporting at the time. He obviously knows, with that mustache, he means business. And his eyes were kind of light with the spark of industrial ambition. We'll put a picture up of Whistler on the old socials just so you can see, listeners. But
probably uses his mustache to spread his Marmite on his toast.
Wow. Okay. Whistler's operation started small in the beginning, but he was a master of innovation and resourcefulness. They opened their first factory in Burton-upon-Trent. They opened 2 miles down the road from the Bass Brewery that had been there since 1777. And they chose Burton-on-Trent due to Bass being the kind of the biggest brewer of the time and whose leftover yeast they still use to this very day.
Just comes down the road. Wow. One company finishes it, another one buys it off them, and everyone's winning.
That's a lasting partnership, though, isn't it? A couple of 100 years at this point.
Yeah. Are we missing a ticket here with going to this place? Is this like a good place to go drinking? The pub crawls here, just like nothing you've ever seen.
Probably. There probably is a good pint. No local brewers.
Stop halfway to jump in the river and get some nice alkaline water down you to fend off the hangover and straight back on it.
And then finish it all off with a jar of Marmite at the end.
Finish it off with a jar of Marmite,
When you're hungover the next day, perfect hangover cure. Big old slab of bread with a load of Marmite on it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, obviously the yeast that they used was destined for disposal and it was about to be transformed. So Whistler and his team kind of boiled it down, the yeast itself, the extract, concentrated it and began experimenting with the savoury paste that kind of emerged once they were finished with it. They were very much like pioneers and obviously with the help of justice as well, culinary kind of alchemists and essentially turning the waste product into a nutrient-packed spread.
It's crazy, isn't it, to think that they persevered with it. I imagine seeing Marmite in a jar, like he's been like, on paper it's going to turn out edibly good. And then they make it and they look at that and they go, I think we should stick up this, lads. We might be up to something. Well,
it was originally advertised, so the residue, the early Marmite, was originally advertised as cattle food.
Wow, really?
So not even fit for human consumption. Milo's just spoke about how he shovels it down.
Well, no, they never thought that it would be good for human consumption because it was a waste product. So it was like, we know this is a nutrient dense and edible paste.
Yeah.
Let's sell it. Let's get it to market. What's the easiest way to go to market? You just sell it to livestock, right? And then you kind of build up from there.
Interesting.
But I mean, after a while, it began to be eaten by humans, obviously. And it was considered a bit of a health food, lauded for its kind of richness in B vitamin, very much kind of growing as a product through kind of the early 20th century. But like I said, its value as a source of nutrients was kind of already well known, but it was the discovery of vitamins in 1912 by a scientist who's got an incredible name, Casimir Funk.
Whoa.
Wow.
How good is that?
Casimir and his funky vitamins.
Sounds like a band name or something.
Yeah.
Right? Casimir Funk. Yeah, like a jazz band.
Yeah.
1912 though, that's like recent history to have, figured out vitamins. You kind of think they'd been figured out a long time before that.
Yeah, no, it's just they didn't have the tech, did they?
Yeah.
Didn't have the tech.
I guess like back then, they kind of knew stuff had stuff in it. Vocabulary. Miles, but like I think
this stuff's got stuff in it.
This stuff has got stuff in it. Stuff. But like I feel like up to a certain point in scientific development, people suspected things had stuff in it, usually by the fact that it would like react in a certain way. Like, oh, we know that this has something in it because when paired with a petal, it wilts in 3 days, not 8. And it's like they had like little clues in nature that shit was happening, but they just didn't
know what stuff was.
They didn't know what the stuff was. And I think like for most of human history, humans have been clever enough to like recognize patterns in nature and be like, oh, if you eat this nettle leaf, your rash goes, but they don't know why. And then it's only in the 19th century that suddenly they're like, oh, it's because that fucking petal has vitamin B12 complex AI.
AI.
And then nowadays, you know, I'm fucking eating a hamburger walking down the street using Google Lens to just see what everything's got.
Yeah. Well, all the vitamins are around you.
Yeah. None in the burger. But yeah, anyway, just thought I'd go on that random tangent.
Very, very worthwhile.
Yeah.
Very worthwhile. But I mean, as you can imagine, this was a fucking boon for the brand. A real significant boost, right?
Yeah.
And they began
We can
to...
put shit that we get for free from this product, the shit, in a jar and sell it to people
It's like the-
for more money than the other thing we were making at the beginning.
It's like that Mitchell and Webb sketch, isn't it?
Yeah, is it?
Fucking ground.
That's it. So good. But yeah, these guys must have been laughing, you know, this stuff they used to throw away.
Money from nothing.
They're now
isn't
selling.
it?
Money for nothing.
Money for nothing.
And soon after that, they started releasing advertisements telling us that it was...
Half the price, just as nourishing, eminently stimulating and digestive, very pleasant to take, and invalids will not turn from it, as is so often the case with beef tea. Wow.
What is beef tea?
Many questions.
Beef tea's Bovril.
Right, okay, yeah. Beef extract that you dilute into a tea.
Exactly right.
Okay, and invalids will not turn from it, as is
ill,
so often.
So like,
Just
sick people.
So like the last thing you want when you're maybe not feeling so great
Yeah,
is
buy
some
that.
beef tea.
No, but I'd rather have beef tea than Marmite.
Yeah, but Marmite is just a spoonful,
invalid,
right? It's just a bit of medicine. It's just a bit. It's like cowpot. Cowpot.
Oh, no.
Thank you, Mummy.
Cowpot.
Thank you for my Marmite, honey.
Okay.
Yeah. Whereas beef tea, it's like
Yeah, no, they use some great words in that, aren't they? What was it? Eminently tasty. Stimulating.
yeah, half the price.
Yeah,
Don't forget half the
that's-
price.
Half the price.
It's a waste
What? The half the price of the beef tea? Are we talking? Yeah.
of the beef tea. Yeah,
Yeah,
beef tea is expensive.
Oh yeah, you've got to have beef in it, haven't you?
Yeah, you
Yep.
have a whole cow in it. So it was initially sold until 1920 in these small kind of earthenware pots, similar. I don't know. You've probably seen like clay pots that like chemists and herbalists would have used.
Is this the pot that's featured on the famous logo? That kind of pot?
Correct.
Yeah.
But it would have been like clay.
Okay.
Yeah, because where I used to live, which was just down the road from Burton-upon-Trent, where the Marmite factory is, it was called Draycott in the clay. And I wonder if that's because it was like a little clay mine or something, and they just, they were big into reusing stuff. Had the yeast from one place, they'll have the clay from the next place.
That's the most Tory sounding village I've ever heard of. Draycott in clay.
No.
Draycott in clay.
Not in clay, in the get the in there, you big idiot.
Oh.
Everyone's proper sludging through clay.
Yeah, no, there's some crazy places like names around there.
Where did you live? Like Draycott Manor or something?
Yeah, obviously, mate. Just fuck off. This is
Clay Cottage.
Such a misrepresentation.
Wet Hands Avenue.
Of me. What?
Wet Hands Avenue.
There's a place just down the road from it called Six Roads End. Like, what? How did they come up with these names?
Well, probably Six Roads End there, right?
I don't think so. That's the craziest thing is there's like 3 or 4.
Just
Anyway,
shy of
there's
6.
They rounded up.
Yeah. Timmy, you named the fucking street wrong. It was 4.
I don't count good.
I don't count too well. Oh dear. It could be. It'd be interesting to know if there was like a clay mine close by, and that's why they're using clay pots instead of any other kind of pot to house the Marmite.
Well, it was recommended initially as like a dietary supplement, particularly for vegetarians.
They always do this. New product. They get the fucking scientists promoting it. Little
Perfect for veggies.
endorse this. Yeah, go. High in vitamins. Great for foot and mouth disease. Get it now. It's like, No, that's not.
So, yeah,
Ah,
don't do that.
come on.
After 1920 is when the iconic brown bulbous glass jars, were introduced, and the design has changed very little in almost a century.
It's a pretty iconic look, isn't it?
It's pretty iconic. But there's a reason. There's a reason for the design. Do you know why the jar is brown?
To hide how sludgy and horrible the innards look.
Is it to make it look more full? Like, so you think you've got more? Or you think you get more when you buy it?
With the light?
Correct, Dom. It's because the exposure to light destroys some of the B vitamins to help make Marmite a health product.
That's crazy,
I think it's like the same way you have like some ales that come in like brown bottles, you know, and like beers.
Right, exactly right.
Diffused at light.
That's not for vitamins though, that is it? I think that's
No, I think
flavour,
it's just to make them last longer and keep certain flavours.
Yeah. But yeah, it's that distinctive kind of Marmite jar. It's simple, striking design, but it quickly became synonymous with the robust, hearty flavour inside. But it also had a reason
Practical,
for the
practical use.
Yeah, it was practical. Practical.
It's a nice jar though. Feels nice in the hand. It's nice and round. It's heavy. It's made of good glass, proper glass.
Yeah, you could really hurt someone with
You
it.
can really lamp someone with a jar of that.
What's going to work better? A jar of Marmite, a jar of Nutella, or a jar of Biscoff? What's hurting the most?
Probably Nutella because I get the big ones. I get the Costco ones. You know, the ones that they only really sell to cafes.
The big plastic buckets.
You spread it on your toast with a kayak paddle. But it wasn't just the product that was robust for Marmite. The marketing was equally as potent. We've already established like the early kind of advertisements highlighted Marmite's health benefits, claiming it was a cure for everything from malaria to indigestion. Bit of a stretch, don't you think?
I was going to say, did they ever get some like certification? Could they just,
Wild
could
West
they
days,
back
mate.
Then?
You could get away with anything, mate.
I don't think they put you in an ambulance to Liverpool's tropical disease unit just to give you a slice of Marmite and toast, do they?
No, probably a bit more vigorous than that, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it was from the onset, it was popular, particularly with vegetarians. But in 1 year, Marmite had made such a name for itself. They won 2 gold medals, one at the Universal Food and Cookery Expedition in 1903 and the other at the Grocery Expedition in 1903. So 2 awards, gold medals, which I'm assuming the Universal Food and Cookery Exhibition is the Olympics of jarred foods or foods. I'm not sure. Never really, don't know if they still do it.
I'd be interested to see who they beat to get that top spot. You know, if only 2 companies entered and you've got that in Bovril, then it's not that great, is it?
Yeah, but still beat Bovril.
Well, yeah, true.
The wins a win.
Big ones beat.
It's impressive. The name, Marmite. Where do you think it comes from?
Say, where's that coming from?
Marmite. It's got no obvious connection so far.
No.
It's some sort of German or Swiss.
So it's derived from the French word for a large covered earthenware cooking pot.
Whoa. Marmite.
But it was, I think they chose it because it was an image that kind of evoked like home cooked goodness with kind
like
of
a
wholesome,
remedy.
hearty. Yeah, exactly.
Which is quite strange because, you know, we've just talked about how kind of manufactured it is. And I bet if we look at the process of making Marmite in a factory, it's going to be a lot of kind of big steel machines, distilling stuff. It's not that kind of very quaint, you know, grandma in a kitchen in a cottage in Yorkshire stirring a pot. It's not that, is it? It's
But I think that's why they've gone with it though.
To kind of steer you away from that kind of manufactured vibe.
Exactly. And to ensure you forget that you're eating a waste of a brewery.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's interesting, definitely.
Yeah. So by 1907, it had become so popular that a new factory opened up at Camberwell Green in London.
Oh, well.
And from kind of the bubbling vats of Burton's breweries to the shelves of local apothecaries, Marmite began its spread across Britain.
If they're using water from the Thames, I expect that batch was probably a little extra tangy.
Extra tangy.
A little bit nutty.
No, I think they're still using the water from
Yeah.
Burton. They're just getting it shipped over.
Yeah.
So it started to spread across Britain and it set the stage for its role as a both wartime sustenance and a polarizing pantry mainstay. So 1907, you know what comes after this. We're going into the trenches of First World War, where Marmite played a role not just on the home front, but right up there in the thick of it all. You see, when the war broke out, the First World War, Britain it found itself in a bit of a nutritional pickle. See, fresh food was scarce. The government was quickly scrabbling for ways to ensure that the troops remained healthy. Enter Marmite, the little jar of yeasty magic. The Ministry of War. So the Ministry of War recognised the nutritional value of the savoury spread and began issuing it as part of the daily rations to soldiers in the trenches. Miles, you'd love World War One.
I was going to say, Milo's getting donuts and Marmite sent to him direct, getting told he has to have it as part of his daily rations.
Yeah.
Get much better.
Trenches, nice and lie down in it. You feel nice and cosy and cocooned whilst you're being fed your donuts and your Marmite. Love it. And you just get to see, missiles going ahead. It's like watching a firework display, watching noshing on some food.
Love it.
But it's interesting you say that, because I guess it's you are getting quite a lot of vitamins, aren't you, from this like little teaspoon worth of concentrated yeast extract. So these soldiers that aren't getting all this fresh food are getting some of this stuff that they're lacking in their diet, aren't they?
It's efficient to ship.
Yeah, exactly that. Crammed full of vitamin B, crucial for energy and overall health.
Doesn't spoil. It can be at room temperature. We were saying the same thing about Spam, but it travels
concentrated, so a little goes a long way. Perfect for kind of ration packs and very easy to transport across the channel. But yeah, I mean, imagine if a young Tommy hunkered down in a muddy trench, the wind's howling, the shells are booming. There in his kit, jar of Marmite. It wasn't just a morale booster. It was a reminder of the comforts of home, the taste of normality in a world turned upside down. Slathered on a lovely bit of hardtack, stirred into some hot water to make a bit of beefy tea, Marmite tea. It was a versatile companion in the cold, damp trenches.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I bet. But it wasn't, the story doesn't just kind of stop at the nutrition either. It's a bit like Spam in that the soldiers, because there was so much Marmite knocking around, found other uses for it as well. They obviously added it
greasing their guns with it, are they?
Yeah. They used it to add flavour to the bland meals, obviously, but then they also used it medicinally to stave off scurvy and kind of other deficiencies caused by the diet. But I even managed to find, so there's a website called the Marmite Museum, right? And I thought it was an actual museum.
Okay.
A proper, brick and mortar museum, but it's not. It's a website made by a 48-year-old woman from Cardiff called Tracy Matthews, who just fucking loves Marmite, and I'm all here for it.
Shout out Tracy. Go off, Queen.
Yeah,
she's made a virtual museum then.
She's made a virtual. Well, she's collected a load of memorabilia. Actually got it in the flesh.
Wow.
And has essentially just made a museum, an online museum where she's documented everything that she's got. But it goes deeper because she didn't actually like Marmite in the beginning, but she won a competition in like the early 2000s where she won like 100 jars of this new Marmite XO shit they brought out. I don't know if you saw it. It was like Marmite like a special edition where it was like super concentrated. She won like 200 boxes of that or 200 jars of that, and she fucking loved it. So she decided just to dedicate the rest of her life to Marmite.
Who knew that she wouldn't like the normal version, but double concentrate it, and she's all for it.
She loves it. Yeah, exactly.
I don't like being mildly disgusted. I want to be absolutely fully
revolted.
Revolted. I just want to feel like I'm ready to vomit, and then I'll like it.
Yeah,
and it just unlocked some kind of lifelong passion.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the tagline's great. So the tagline for the Marmite Museum is as follows.
One person's homage to the wonderful dark elixir.
Right.
Wow, one person's homage. Dark elixir. It's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? It's good. But the reason why I brought it up is because she has a box, like an old Marmite box that they would have transported the jars in World War One. That a resourceful soldier has created like a makeshift Morse code kind of kit in the box.
Oh wow,
that's cool.
So they've like converted the box itself to like a like a tappy fucking Morse code. Beep 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 beep.
Whoa, that's cool. She's got her hands on that.
She's got it. Yeah. So there's loads of pictures of it, so you can go and have a look at it if you want to.
Yeah,
proper bit of history there.
On the socials is what we will do. So you won't have to go take a look. We'll bring it to you.
We'll bring it to you. Bring it to you. Love that. Yeah, very cool. Shout out Tracy.
Big up.
Big up, Marmite Mama. Back on the home front.
Did you
Marmite
just call them
Marmite going?
Mama?
I did, yeah.
Outrageous. Shout out to the Marmite Mama. Wow.
But yeah, on the home front, Marmite kept civilians going, obviously during the food shortages and the rationing. It was promoted as a bit of a meat substitute, which was a big deal, given obviously the rations of meat and kind of other staples. You had posters, adverts, kind of all singing the praises of Marmite, touting it as like essential for health.
It's strange, isn't it? Like, I feel like in history, it's taken a lot more effort to get people to taste and try certain things. And I thought this would be one that's really difficult to get people to try, but it seems like it just kind of, people just took to it straight away. I guess like, it's like you're saying here, it's a difficult time, isn't it? So they've kind of not got as much choice. They're not going to be as picky when they've got, exactly.
Exactly.
I'm just thinking back to stuff like potatoes and tomatoes and stuff. When we've gone back really far, people have not started eating them until they've had like proper convincing. But people are just smashing Marmite straight away.
I think the time in terms of like vitamins being discovered and like we said before, I think that has had a massive impact, because all the kind of scientific research was coming out. You had the government kind of saying that more people needed to eat more.
So everywhere these people are looking, it's just being backed up by.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like nowadays you look online and you see like people telling you to eat more collagen to improve like your skin and stuff like that. It's kind of like that, but obviously way more kind of concentrated.
So it's just like a perfect time then, isn't it? That this product's coming out at a time when people are just discovering the beneficial uses of that stuff anyway.
Yeah. But it was like a symbol of, I think, Marmite is a symbol of kind of endurance, and it was a nutritional powerhouse and a little jar of hope. It was a true kind of soldier's ally and a mother's helper. So after the guns fell silent and the world slowly edged back towards peace, Marmite had fortified millions through the hardships of war. And because of that, it didn't fade into the background. Instead, it transitioned from a wartime essential to a peacetime favourite, seeping even deeper into the fabric of British life.
Was it a bit like the Spam situation where there was just loads of it afterwards?
Like over-manufactured it maybe for the war.
Well, yeah, that. But also if you think more people, we've won the war, right? More people are coming back, celebrating and just thankful that we've made it alive, means that there's going to be more beer being brewed to celebrate.
There's more yeast.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's more yeast, more disposable income. Industries are starting to get back up and rolling again.
And the Marmite's going to be cheaper.
Wow. God.
Wow. Nation of drinkers. Fucking perfect.
Yeah. Good job, lads.
Okay, right. So then with that idea, are there any other things that we can come up with right here, right now, based on offshoots of stuff that we always have in England? What do we like? We like milk, don't we? Drink a lot of milk, got a lot of cows. Is there another
cheese?
Another kind of offshoot that we can we boil milk down?
They've got Greek yogurt. Why don't we have English yogurt, British yogurt?
They do though. They do have that.
How is it different?
It's just called yogurt.
It's just called yogurt.
It's just yogurt and it's in England. You big
just yogurt. Yeah, no. There's got to be something there. It might take some kind
concentrated yogurt.
Yeah.
Yogurt in a jar.
No. Cogurt. Concentrated yogurt.
Cogurt.
Proper thick.
Yeah, proper thick.
Like
but like look at the length they went to create this. It doesn't even resemble beer. That's how far it's come. It's different texture, taste, everything. So let's just have a think. Maybe after this episode, let's get our heads together and think, because obviously they've made a lot of money with this Marmite, and if we can create a new product based on an already existing national favourite product, let's do it.
Okay, let's.
Can we boil milk so much that it becomes a powder, milk powder? But wait, and we put it in a we put it in a vacuum like we would in space, and we use NASA technology.
We need a hadron collider.
Yes, now you're talking. Yeah, we'll just create something. I don't know.
I've got it. What about
whoa
concentrated pork scratchings?
Now that's a Milo kind of treat.
Pork scratch.
You little fucker.
With the hairs on and everything. Loves it.
Yeah.
Like
scratching spread.
Yeah, it's like Biscoff spread, but it's pork scratchings.
Yes, pork scratchings, boys.
Exactly.
Scred.
Oh.
Scred.
Pork scratching spread.
Scred. Oh, sounds fucking awful.
Bits of hairs on top of your toes sticking out.
First advert is Milo, just there spreading it, and his manager coming in going, "It's not Nutella," and then he just goes, "No, it's Scred." And just ladders it
It's Scred instead.
Scred instead.
Yeah, that's the advertising campaign.
Yeah.
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 Don't, yeah, someone's like putting Marmite on, you slap out their hand. Don't have that. Have Scred instead. And then someone's like putting Biscoff. Someone else comes along, slaps out.
Every ad is just a different spread that we're slapping out at their hand.
We're slapping out. We're saying,
nice.
no, have Scred instead.
Have Scred instead.
Pork scratching spread.
Essential fats.
Essential. Yeah, exactly.
Could be something. And if we go into World War III, what we've discovered is that these products, they need a war to really kind of get into the zeitgeist of the time. Yeah. So let's just wait. Let's get the recipe ready.
That needs to be on the roadmap. It needs to be create the pork scratching spread. Start World War III.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Massive Scred tangent there.
Yeah. Big
So in the interwar and post-World War II years, Britain faced new challenges, including, again, continued rationing and the need to rebuild both physically and spiritually. So Marmite it did kind of play a role in World War II, but it was like World War I really, where it's kind of like the daddy. Yeah, it was during kind of these years where it kind of solidified its status, not just as a nutritious choice, but as a versatile.
Sean, welcome back, Sean. How are you doing?
He's back.
I still can't believe he's dead. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm still not over that.
You're like, we'll get him on the pod. I was like, boys, we can't.
Yeah, I had no idea.
You boys were so shocked.
I was ready to see him in the flesh and just say, cheers for being such a good James
But he's not
Bond.
gone though, is he? Because he's here every episode at some point.
Exactly.
He lives on.
He's here in spirit.
You mainly, Andy.
Yeah. Shush me.
You shush me.
I'm the common denominator.
So it's kind of during these years between World War I and World War II where Marmite became a staple in the British kitchen. But I wanted to zoom in on a particularly fascinating chapter of Marmite's history from the 1930s. So during this decade, obviously Marmite was a beloved British staple, but it wasn't just a beloved staple there. It became a key player in a groundbreaking medical discovery on the other side of the world in Bombay, India. This is mental story.
What on earth?
Lucy Wells, an English haematologist whose name probably you won't recognise, but you should, because she was born in 1888 and she was a pioneering scientist. She was dedicated, determined, and had a keen interest in nutritional deficiencies affecting the workers in the textile mills of Bombay.
Well,
these women, particularly pregnant women, were suffering from a severe form of anemia, which was, nobody understood what the fuck was going on at the time. Very poorly understood, right? So it was her quest. She set out on a quest to find like a cost-effective and sustainable treatment to help these pregnant women. And Lucy turned to an unconventional candidate. It's Marmite. Obviously it's Marmite.
Of course it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lucy.
No, Lucy.
You better be right.
She knew. So known for its rich vitamin content, particularly B vitamins, which are obviously essential for healthy blood, Marmite was already a staple back in Britain for boosting health. So Lucy theorised that the yeast extract might just contain the nutrients needed to combat the anemia that was plaguing the mill workers. So she set off, she started doing a load of trials. She started administering Marmite as a supplement to monkeys, firstly. So a load of monkeys just scranning Marmite in cages. That's not a nice thing to think about. But
are you telling us that they didn't have any means of getting those same vitamins into people in India at that time?
Not in a cost-effective manner. No, because remember this, it's under colonial rule at the time. So people are not able to spend the money. Well, they don't really make much money, but the money that they do have, they can't just go down to Tesco and buy a cabbage to get their nutrients. They're living an oppressed life from the British, and they are essentially looking for, well, Lucy's essentially was looking for a way to administer a cost-effective way to keep the mill workers healthy.
There's no point building train tracks if no one can get on the trains because they're too ill.
Yeah, it's words to die by there.
There you have it. I've always thought that, and I'm just glad somebody stood up and said it finally.
Yeah, is that a Gandhi quote? Gandhi?
No. It's one of mine.
One of yours? Oh, okay. You're very similar.
That one up for a while.
So she started firstly on monkeys, and then she started to roll it out to the workers, the afflicted workers. You can actually go and read all of her research paper on the study with monkeys and the study with the workers as well. I read it. Pretty fascinating. Pretty interesting. Definitely worth a read. But the results, nothing short of remarkable. The anemia rates began to drop so significantly among those who were given Marmite, and they were essentially not fully cured because conditions were still not great, but the anemia was dropping.
I wonder how hard it was to get it down them. It's very different to anything that they were probably eating at the time. It might have been a difficult one.
May have been, but I imagine if
it's that old
approach someone, exactly,
yeah, exactly.
Well, the Marmite,
I think even I have it then.
But she didn't stop there. She continued her research and continued observations, and this led her to the identification of folic acid.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So she was a person that discovered folic acid, which was then an unknown member of the vitamin B family, which was an active ingredient kind of responsible for the improvements in workers' health as well. So that's kind of another thing that she observed.
Wow.
This discovery itself was like pivotal in paving the way for folic acid's recognition as a crucial element for the prevention of birth defects and an essential supplement, which is still recommended by the NHS and medical professionals around the world for pregnant women to this day.
Wow.
Whoa, proper figured that one out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. Incredible.
Did we say that Marmite are putting the vitamins into it after as an addition, or are the vitamins that are in it a byproduct of just the ingredients that go in? I can't remember.
So I think they are a byproduct of what is in there already, but I believe maybe nowadays they are adding more in.
Yeah, you can like fortify stuff, can't you know?
Exactly that.
Interesting.
But Will's written conclusion was that
These findings provide further evidence in support of the opinion that the intrinsic factor is not vitamin B2, but some other factor, as yet underdetermined, which is present in both animal protein and Marmite.
Was she just fucking terrified while she was reading out her findings there?
she delivered it from beyond the grave.
My results were so banging, I've come back to share it twice, baby.
But yeah, it's cool. Like you can see that she knows it's something else. She doesn't quite know what it is.
These findings provide further evidence in support of the opinion that the extrinsic factor is not vitamin B2, but some other factor as yet undetermined.
And that's folic acid.
Which is present in both animal protein and Marmite. Right.
Yeah, fair.
So the Wills factor, as it came to be known, was later identified as folic acid, thanks to Lucy's initial research with Marmite.
You'd have thought, A few beers over in Blighty leading to scientific discoveries over in India.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Really cool. Really cool. I did manage to find another badass quote from Lucy. This one's in 1947, which really kind of gives some insight into the personality of a pioneer in haematology who led a crazy, eventful life. This is what Lucy had to say.
I'm really wishing I hadn't done that accent before, because this is a much bigger quote.
Big quote, this one, isn't it?
An experiment was started at the end of 1943, planned to show the effect on the hemoglobin level and on the general health of the pregnant woman, not only of the improved rations, but also of the routine administration of iron. Unfortunately, a flying bomb incident interrupted the work. But though the actual number of observations were not as large as expected, they were large enough for statistical analysis. The laboratory workers were not told which patients were receiving iron, but after a few visits, it did not require a Sherlock Holmes to ascertain the nature of the capsules being taken.
You really gave that your all.
Right, this is why I have to always go back over it and read it again, because I just don't get it. Yeah, when I'm in there, when I'm taking on that character, the part of my brain that would actually absorb the information gets switched off to channel that person.
Yeah.
So
You're
I've
like
got to go
Joaquin
back.
Phoenix. You're like a method actor, aren't you? You really just get in there and you become the character.
But when I snap out of it, I can't remember.
No, of course. Well, that's your process, and everyone's different. So
yeah. So I've annoyingly for the listeners and you guys, I've got to then, when I finish it, just go back over and just read it in a normal voice. Otherwise, I just don't get it. An experiment was started in the end of 1943, planned to show the effect of the hemoglobin level on the general health of the pregnant woman. Not only the improved rations, but also the routine administration of iron. Oh, I mentioned iron before, didn't I? Bit of an increase of iron as well. Unfortunately, a flying bomb incident, what the fuck, interrupted the work. But though the actual number...
Yeah, it's that bloody year.
Yeah. So she's saying the observations were not as large as expected. They were large enough for statistical analysis. The laboratory workers were not told which patients were receiving iron, but after a few visits, it did not require a Sherlock Holmes to ascertain the nature of the capsules being taken. So it's a successful test. They can see which ones have been taking the capsules clearly versus the ones that haven't.
Yep.
Marmite wins again.
Marmite wins again. And after its kind of foray into the world of medicine and global health in the 1930s, Marmite continued to evolve. Didn't stand still.
Surely
Continued to
not.
evolve. Not just as a product, but as a cultural icon. Largely thanks to its savvy marketing strategies.
I was going to say, it is quite like a marketable brand. Like, you see lots of, like, not gimmicks, but like kind of crossover things. Like, they did Walker's Crisps, didn't they? I remember them, like a yellow bag.
Yeah.
Because it's such an iconic flavour. So it can dip its toe into these different products and make an immediate impact.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cool, isn't it?
So in the post-war era, Marmite's marketing was still very much focused heavily on its health benefits, capitalizing on its rich vitamin content. They kind of milked that for all it's worth. Advertisements from like the 1950s and the 1960s featured wholesome images of families enjoying Marmite at the breakfast table, rejoicing in its nutritious values, kind of to start their day. You know, we're going to have a fucking spoonful of Marmite and we're going to go and do some A-levels, whatever they did.
O-levels.
So, yeah. Slogans from this era include Marmite for health, Marmite adds zest for life, and it kind of emphasized vitality, well-being, kind of appealed to like the health conscious British public, really.
But then I guess it's getting to the point where it's like, actually, we know a lot about this vitamin now. We know a lot to the point where we can buy a tablet that gives us what we know is 3 times the amount in a teaspoon of Marmite. So now Marmite as a company are thinking, right, people are kind of done with this, you know, medicinal.
The niche is closed.
Yeah. We need to switch up maybe.
And that switch up came in the 1990s. That was the real turning point. It was around that time when they embraced the polarizing nature of the product.
Which I think is great, by the way.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's a great bit of marketing.
Isn't it? And it still works to this day. I don't know. You just don't often get a brand that is self-aware enough or willing to take the risk of potentially talking about people not liking their product.
Yeah.
From what I know, like every brand is like, no, if that even remotely sounds like it's something negative towards the product, we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Quite brave marketing.
100%. Yeah, it's good. So the now famous slogan, love it or hate it, was coined in the 1990s, and it captured the essence of Marmite and its unique taste and the divided public opinion. So the stroke of genius actually came from advertising agency DDB in London, who decided to take a bold step by acknowledging that not everyone liked Marmite, and that was perfectly okay.
Wow.
So the tagline was the brainchild of Richard Flintham and Andy McLeod, and it grew out of the simple recognition that Flintham loved the spread, McLeod hated it, and this is how McLeod recalls the event.
There wasn't a brief specifically to come up with a new slogan. Actually, what year are we here? I'm going well too back for this.
1990s. They're probably like modern Mad Men, cool, suave British advertising gurus.
Yeah. There wasn't a brief specifically to come up with a new slogan.
Did your voice?
I was going to say,
you just described me, so I'm going to do me.
Just proper led in straight away. No,
well,
you know, 1990s modern suave.
You look so.
There wasn't a brief specifically to come. Yeah, I'm just going to read it in mine because I'm suave and cool. Okay.
Yeah, fair.
Okay, off you go.
There wasn't a brief specifically to come up with a new slogan. We certainly didn't set out to think of one. And in any case, I'd say it's more of a statement of fact than a slogan. All we did was think about what Marmite meant to us. What was the truth of the product? It seemed obvious to us that Marmite polarised opinion like nothing else. Yeah?
Fair play. Just not wrong.
Just transparent marketing, isn't it?
Transparent. Yeah.
Yeah. We know we can make enough money by advertising to that one portion of the public that do like it.
Yeah.
Although you're actually not, because you're advertising to the portion of the public that haven't tried it yet. And by saying it's divisive, they want to get in on that. They want to taste it to see where it is that they land on the spectrum.
Exactly.
So you kind of advertise to everyone.
No, it's perfect. It was a big risk though, but it paid off.
Fuck.
Yeah. Really fucking clever. And it paid off spectacularly. And it like you said, it transformed it from like a mere food item to like a topic of national conversation. What side are you on? You know, there was no middle ground. It was either you loved it or you hated it.
Yeah.
And it kind of gave fuel to create, you know, humorous TV ads, billboards, all sorts. There was all sorts of stuff.
I've seen some of their TV ads, like in the build up to this episode. I watched a few. They are so funny. So good.
Advertising was just way better back then. Way better.
Oh my God. There was one I watched. And it was like a 2-minute mini documentary. And it starts and it's like a team raiding a house as if they're going in to save like neglected animals. And they're actually just looking for Marmite that have been neglected at the back of cupboards.
Yeah.
And like they're getting in there. And it's like the camera works all like handheld, like zooming in on this like interviews with police, and they're being like, "Oh my God, yeah, this one was in a right state when we got to it." Yeah, at the end, they like take it to like a big Marmite rehoming center, and then this like new family come along and pick up a jar and take it home, and then they're all sat at the table like looking at this cute little jar, and like the narrator's like, "And they lived happily ever after with a new family." The last shot of the advert, the whole family looking at it, just zooms in on like the young little kid, this boy, and he picks up a thing and tastes it, and he just goes like, and it cuts. I was like, that is perfect. Like even right at the end of the advert, they've shown someone not enjoying it.
Yeah.
That's perfect. So good.
But it wasn't just clever as well. Like the campaigns really boosted sales. I think following the launch of that Love It or Hate It campaign, sales figures grew by over 60% in the first 2 years, which, considering it was already a popular item in Britain, to boost them another 60% is fucking excellent. Really good. So by kind of the early 1990s, Marmite Limited had become a subsidiary of Bovril Limited. So it was actually owned by Bovril.
No way.
Interesting.
We want to be the brown thick liquid team. We want it all. Tar, molasses, Bovril, Marmite, everything. Collect it all. We've got big vats. If it's brown, if it's sticky, we want it.
Just a monopoly on brown sludge.
So they were bought by CPC International, which then changed its name to Best Foods Incorporated in 1998. And then Best Foods Incorporated subsequently merged with Unilever in 2000. And now Marmite is a trademark, unfortunately owned by Unilever.
They own everything.
Everything.
The whole lot.
I feel like you've had one of those like detective boards with all the strings and shit on it before this episode.
Yeah, trying to figure out the trace. Yeah, so obviously owned by Unilever now. They make more than 6,000 tons of Marmite each year, which is around 50 million jars, all produced at the factory, Burton-upon-Trent.
Stinks in that town like never before.
Yeah, just 15% of Marmite is sent overseas and the rest is eaten in Britain, with 27 jars sold every minute.
Gotta sink the bloody island we're on.
Yeah. Drowning in Marmite.
I managed to find a 2015 article from The Guardian entitled "The Great Marmite Conspiracy Has It Secretly Changed Its Recipe." The opening paragraph alludes to:
Something smells fishy. In the world of the iconic Tari spread, the makers say there's nothing amiss, but Felicity Cloak is determined to find out what's going on at the bottom of the jar.
Wow.
Well,
So-
she's on a mission.
that article is written by a Felicity Cloak, so
Yeah,
I'm not sure if she's referred to herself as in the third person there.
She has, yeah.
Or, okay.
Wow.
She might have got someone to write the intro for her, but that seems a bit mad move to do.
Nah. She loves herself.
She's bigging herself up. Yeah.
So the article itself is a bit of a nothing article, really. The TLDR is that there are some people out there that believe that Unilever has changed the original recipe, with the older version being more unforgiving and a food item that demands respect, whereas the modern version is a bit more mild-mannered and tastes and just looks a bit weaker.
Okay, so you've got these Marmite purists thinking that they're too good for the regular one now.
It all seems very theoretical, and maybe, does she have any proof of this conspiracy?
Well, other than the fact that they've now come out with a more potent version, is that potent version what used to be the regular version?
Ooh.
I ain't no conspiracy theorist, but there's a conspiracy there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Unilever flat out denied any changes had been made, with John Skelton, the brand's quality specialist, assuring Felicity in the article that
the major ingredient of Marmite, yeast extract paste, has remained rigidly unchanged.
However, further into the article, he does allude to the fact that
owing to changes in the availability of materials and improvement of manufacturing methods, we have been forced to adapt these, but their character has been rigorously retained. Given that yeast is a living organism, there is inevitably some variation of properties within the supply. We strive to smooth fluctuations using a paste blending system, but they can never be entirely eliminated.
I mean, he does raise a
there you
fair
go.
point. It is a living organism, isn't it? So
no two jars are the same.
yeah.
I don't know. You be the judge, listeners. Tell us if you think Marmite's changed.
So what's the year that we think that they changed it?
So this article's from 2015.
Okay.
2015. Well, I know that when Irn-Bru changed its recipe, that they had to announce it, and when they did, apparently loads of Scots bombarded the supermarkets to get as much of the previous version, the original version, as they could,
Classic.
and stock up on it. Yeah, I remember I was talking to a local when I was in Scotland. I was in Thurso for a shoot a few years ago, and yeah, we were talking about Irn-Bru, and he was just saying, yeah, when they announced it, it was mad. It was absolute pandemonium.
Well, he just remembers it as a monumental day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
An event.
exactly.
Irn-Bru Day.
Yeah, so they
The
changed the
end of
recipe.
Irn-Bru as we know it.
I think they removed some of the sugar in it. I think it didn't meet new EU laws, I think, about how much sugar was allowed in.
Take the sugar out or make the bottles smaller to fit in there.
Yeah.
I think they took a bit of the sugar out, so it's like partly sugar and partly synthetic sweetener.
Yeah,
something like that.
They've started selling the classic version again now.
You never get it in like a small one size
Yeah.
No, you get it in a
drink,
big
do you?
bottle.
It's always in the bigger ones because they can get away with saying that this is
It's for
like
multi-use.
10 servings. Yeah.
So
Yeah, you be the judge. You be the judge. Let us know if you think Marmite has changed. Yeah, but I mean, that's we're coming to the end of our little tasty tale. It's pretty clear that Marmite is more than just a breakfast spread. It's a British institution cultivated and birthed by a German and a Swissman. But yeah, from its kind of humble beginnings as a byproduct of beer brewing to its role in global health and its ascent to iconic status through the ingenious marketing, Marmite has woven itself into the cultural and culinary fabric of the UK. The love it or hate it philosophy has evolved from a marketing slogan to a cultural phenomenon, encapsulating the essence of what makes Marmite special.
Yeah.
Whether it's loved or despised, Marmite always provokes a strong reaction. And in the world of branding, emotional engagement of this kind is like gold.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to get. Marmite's like the benchmark. It's the absolute god tier of what you can achieve with branding.
I mean, the divisiveness gets people to buy in, doesn't it? You're either one team or the other. So even if you're not a fan of the product, you're still talking about the product. So that's still a win. You know, it's like any coverage is good coverage, right?
As long as there's a conversation around it, then you're golden, aren't you?
The people that are fans, it's like an instant loyalty, right?
You're a weirdo too.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I love it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it teaches us kind of like a valuable lesson in brand identity. Embrace what sets you apart, even if it's not universally adored. You know, you celebrate the uniqueness, and it's that uniqueness that has meant that Marmite has not only survived since 1902, but has thrived and outlasted kind of countless other products of similar veins and remains a staple on grocery shelves and shopping lists in Britain and beyond. So I'd like to wrap up today with a quote from a author called Angela Kiss, and this is from her book How to Be an Alien in England, a guide to the English. It's a bit of a silly book.
That's a hell of a book.
So I was going to say, that sounds like an interesting book.
Bit of a silly book, but there's this one line that I managed to find in it which kind of really encapsulates the footprint that Marmite has left on British culture.
It is well known fact that English people never know anything, they only think. The only exception they know when they are sure about the whole world is Marmite. Love it or hate it, there are no other options. There is no space for grey space.
Oh, that's a good quote.
And that's Marmite.
Yeah, there we go. Marmite.
Wouldn't have thought you could fit that much history into such a small little jar, would you?
I know, right?
No, you wouldn't.
Pop the lid off it and delve in, because there was a lot to unpack there.
Spread it all over your ears.
Please don't do that. Yeah, that was so interesting. I mean, I kind of obviously knew it was a yeast extract paste. It kind of says that on the front of the jar, but I didn't really know that came as a byproduct from beer and all of that kind of British history that's tied up with that. And you kind of go into World War One.
Yeah,
crazy. And then obviously the marketing of it. You know, the reason why it's on everyone's lips, and you know, like people even like today, it's become a metaphor, really, hasn't it? When like people just in conversation in England will say like, "Oh, that's like Marmite."
Yeah,
they're just basically referring to the fact that it's a polarizing thing that they're talking about.
exactly. Yeah,
wrong.
Exactly.
It's a proper part of our dialogue, isn't it?
Well,
Of our identity.
Yeah. Did we want to give someone a shout out? I think we did at the end of this one.
We did. Yeah, the great goulash. What a goulash. The bestest of goulashes.
Number one fan. Well, I'm not going to say number one, but definitely five.
He's my number one.
Oh.
He's my number one. He's very much a hype man for the podcast. Listens all the time. Has nothing but nice things to say. And he's just an all-round top bloke.
he's just lovely.
Very good guy. Go get yourself a great goulash, everyone. Shout out, Ben.
And a general shout out to everyone else who turns up every 2 weeks and listens to these episodes. You know, we see the same names popping up time and time again, and it's really nice that you guys are supporting us, and your nice comments and your likes on the socials. It all doesn't go amiss. So thank you very much. It's much appreciated. And we're enjoying making the episodes, so it's nice to see that you guys are enjoying listening to them as well. So just a big thank you from us three, really, if you're sticking around to the end of these and you're enjoying them. We're enjoying them too.
Thanks for being here.
But there we go. That was Marmite. We'll love you and leave you. Feel free to follow us if you're not already on the social channels, TikTok and Instagram. We're releasing social media clips. Social media clips? What the hell is that? Social video clips on the social medias.
Social media clips.
Social media clips. Yeah, we're releasing little videos, I wouldn't say best bits, because the best bits aren't actually in those, but just
we
releasing
save those.
a couple of bits.
Little appetizers, if you might, you know, tantalise your taste
Little morsels.
And then get you here. Oh, little tasty morsels. There you go. There you go.
Little Marmite moments.
Oh,
Wow.
hello.
So yeah, I mean, follow us on socials if you want to check those out. And if you do like the podcast, please consider telling a friend about it. And you can also rate us as well, which is hugely helpful. You can do that on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. You can give us a 5-star rating. Why not? Whoa.
Oh, go on, do it.
But yeah, thanks again. And we will see you in 2 weeks' time for the next episode. Thank you and stay safe. See you soon.
Bye.
See you then.
Bye, guys.
Bye.